And for those of you guys who are just tuning in, this is The King Under the Mountain. It is a simulation, deep simulation of set in a fantasy world where we are going through a lot of things. So I've already shown the animatic to those who are in the live stream. And I'm not going to go through a third time because that's a little bit laborious. However, I will say that the most important thing to note about editing is that you will be watching something, usually probably more times than you can possibly remember. I have no idea how many times I watched something, but it's a lot. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to take Jordan Chin's new track, start it new, and we're going to put that into the timeline of Draft 01, and then I'm going to find, so right about here is where the timeline shifts in tone. So I'm going to make a special note of that in my edit here. So I'm going to add a marker. Actually, I want that to be in my timeline, so I'm going to add a marker over here, and I'm going to replace this new song with the old one. We're going to go replace clip with clip from bin. So that gives that sets it to exactly the same size and framework. However, we're going to go and flesh that out. So this is going to go the whole way down, and from this point forward, all these parts of the song are now going to go all the way down here and somewhere around there. So that's not entirely accurate to when the overall flow is. I'm going to make sure my timing is just right. Yeah, so this is a little crazy. So let's see. So this is where we have some of the drums going a little bonkers. And I think that starts right here. So we'll see if that works. Yeah, it sounds like Jordan made a little bit of changes to the track, so it's not quite the same as what it used to be. So that flash there no longer makes sense. So I'm going to remove that flash. Let that just be away. We're going to select this whole bit here, and we're going to make sure that's a little bit more fine-tuned to this. So the drums start right there. So we're going to move that there, and this is where we want that edit. And those drums no longer quite make sense, but that's okay. I'll make that fix. Cool. So that's that, and now we have a big gap here. So this is where we're going to put in a lot of these shots, and we're going to create a certain sense and feel that works for the overall. Just going to quick pop over here and make sure that feedback all makes sense. Okay, cool. So as you can see, that we have the script for the overall project all flowing through here, and I'm not going to really come back to this terribly much, but that should give us a sense of reference just in case we go a little bit off the rails. And that's actually what we're doing right now. We're going to be going off the rails a little here. So let's see how this intro all plays out. Let me try it out with a new song. Alright, so we want that boom to kick in right when we see the settlement kind of burst outwards. Now, let's see. Alright, so the first thing that I typically do is I kind of just go through all my edits and I just kind of make cuts. And so the first intro shot, I have a lot of different attempts on that. So we're just going to dump all those different attempts that I made into the intro, into a little timeline here. And we're going to see if we can find the perfect edit for that. Now, these shots should show you the intent of how I intend that coming together. Now, it's going to be a composition, so it's going to have a little bit of a, how you say, kind of a, oh, I'm going to bring it into After Effects. But first, before I get it into After Effects, I kind of have to frame everything and show how it's going to insert in. So, as you can see, what it basically amounts to is you see the full world zoomed out really far away, And then as this plays, it zooms in on the settlement, and then boom, the people start moving outwards. So I took this cut and I captured it several times, and so that's about good right there. So we're going to say this starts right around here, ends there, trim those parts out, just deleted those sequences. Ripple delete is what I use a lot of, so you're going to see me using that shortcut a lot. And then we're going to start right around here, zoom into this shot. Now, I don't know which one of these shots is going to be the ideal. That one's actually pretty messy, so I'm just going to delete that shot because that's not... We want the shot to be kind of centered. And we start all the way out here. We're going to zoom on in, and then boom. Okay, that one's nice and close. I really like that one. That makes you feel like you're really up and close. So we're going to stop that in there. And I think that's probably pretty good. So I'm just going to... Now, what I do this is maybe a little bit wacky, but I any shots that I think that really stand out, I kind of just raise to the next layer. And this is a new sequence. This is we're going to call this the intro cuts. And so I make all these cut sequences to just kind of show all of what, just kind of pick the shots that I want. And then I can always just come back to that sequence and just kind of pick the shots that work as I dump them into the real timeline. So we're going to keep going here through this. Now this one's a nice medium distanced shot. And we're going to start, actually I'm going to start these edits right at the beginning. And so that right when the action of the zoom starts, we're going to start the edits there. So we're going to try that for each one of these previous shots. Okay. As you can see, then it goes straight and through. We see the settlement nice up and close. Now, this is a procedural generated game, so I tried to start with a consistent seed for all of the intros. I'm pretty sure I have that set up so that it's set to, not that it really matters, but the seed, which is 15 out of, I think there's like a 7 quintillion possible procedural seeds. That's sort of a joke. But there's a lot of options in here. So we're going to start all the way back here. We're going to cut this trim here. And this is a nice medium option. So I might organize all these shots for the general sense of distance for where they're going. This one's kind of a far away one. This one starts just like all the others. And so one of the things that you'll find in editing is that a lot of the time it does get pretty boring because I'm just kind of like going through the same thing again and again and again and again. And it's just kind of like just trying to find those really tiny little variations just to see what's just a little bit different, just a little bit better, maybe. Hopefully, actually I like that one. I like the distance and where it ends. Let's see how that one plays out. And there's a little bit of a pause there before they burst. I can trim that out. It's not going to be noticeable because there's no animation. What's happening typically whenever you start the game, the people immediately burst out, and the zoom isn't this close. The zoom defaults to, I'd say, probably around here is where the default zoom is. I'm starting really far away because we want to create a sense of here's the overall world and you're falling in from the sky, and we're going to zoom in nice and close and see, hey, boom, there goes all the people. So that's the general feel. I have, looks like I got about 9 different edits here. So we're going to start with this, try this one, and see how this one. Now, it takes so many different tries. Oh, okay, that one's way too off. We're not going to go with that one. It just takes so many tries. You want to work with way more footage. And this is, of course, all these edits are just for one shot. So you need way more footage than you're actually going to use when you start making a trailer. If you're just like, yep, I got the shot, I'm good. Typically, you're going to find that you're going to have to reshoot. And more than likely, these shots I'm probably going to end up reshooting at some point. And that's just the name of the game. I come in with that expectation. And this one, the burst starts a little bit afterwards, and I think that the crawl feels a little slow there. I think that's their standard movement. Yeah, that's their standard movement. And you'll see that I actually accelerated the pace of their movement to set to the second speed, the double speed. And so we see, yeah, they move a whole lot faster there. And this is how fast they moved originally. Yeah, it's just too slow. It just doesn't It's just like, why are they moving so slow? For a trailer, you kind of have to move a little bit quicker than that, because otherwise you're just kind of like cutting through a whole lot of shots of people moving really slowly. So you see the people bursting out of there. And now I'm going to create a new folder. We're going to call this, I like to make a little mark when I have all my edits or all my cuts in a cut sequence. And then we're going to put this into a folder, a subfolder, just for cuts, just so that I have all the cuts for this particular edit. Now we're going to move to the second sequence. And then I'll start putting all this stuff into the overall sequence very soon. Let me just quick check on the feed here. Sound is fine. Yeah, FPS is just way low. Yeah, I'm sorry the FPS is so low, guys. I'm gonna have to do some tinkering and figuring out how to improve that overall. Yeah, the quality of the stream. I kind of anticipated having a lot of difficulties in that. So hopefully, I'm pretty sure that the overall quality of the live feed will be a lot higher. So we'll just keep rolling here. And for those of you guys who are disappointed by the performance of the stream, then I'll of course make sure that you guys all have access to the outputted recorded version of this stream later on. Okay, so next we're going to cut to the second sequence. So we have a whole lot. I labeled all of these sections 2 because there's just kind of a montage of the different sequences or different elements of what happens that we wanted to be the first impression. I wanted the feel of the song is this happy sunny day. It's kind of this great pretty song, and I wanted it to. I wanted you to have a lot of time to kind of like just enjoy the world and its brightness, and then after that, kind of like be like wow, the nighttime is so much. There's so much more beauty, and so much of the lighting dynamics add to a really nice burning the midnight oil kind of lived-in feel. So we have, let's see, this is I just created another subfolder. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to, create a new cut sequence. We're going to call this, we'll just call this 2 cuts. 2 cuts. Cool, 2 cuts. All right. And we're going to put this, it doesn't matter where we put that, but yeah, we want that to go in with, oh, I accidentally made a copy. That's not what I meant to do. Clear that. And put 2 cuts into the cuts folder, and these don't need to go anywhere else. They can just go back in here. I didn't even need to create that extra bin. Okay, so 2 cuts. So we have a bunch of shots here. So we have the building pan, and this is where we have the settlements. Kind of just we have the dwarf settlement. The dwarves just kind of building things out. There's not a whole lot of activity going on quite yet in the building, but you can see them moving around and doing some work. So we just wanted to kind of like establish that this is a game where you're going to be building things. So you don't really see all of what's going to be going on there, but we wanted to get a nice pan of the actual settlement, as you can see that coming across there. So we're going to start right where the shot starts panning, and we're going to say that's the shot, and then it comes back moving to the left. And I don't think the left-bound pan is as interesting because we kind of want it to be right reading and flow a little bit more in a right reading fashion, and kind of consistently moving in English reading right. So I'm going to stay away from the panning to the left. I'm not even going to bother capturing or isolating that shot, because if I need to, I can come back to it, but I'm probably not going to use it. So there's the pan. We're just sliding through on the timeline, and that's where we're going to cut out. And here's another variation of that. I'm going to slide right on through, right on through. As you can see, it's just a, oh no, they're not animating. So you can see me building though. So maybe that's interesting. I don't know. You can see me adding on to the plan of the settlement, which is a little interesting. But when the people aren't moving, I'm probably not going to use that shot. But at least you see some player action, which is important and shows that you can pause the game. And probably not going to use that, but okay, so here we go to the nighttime. And this is where we start seeing some of the nighttime. You can see some really pretty shots over here. And this is where I start building out and shaping some of the caverns. Now this shot is fixed because my intent is to start, say, like right around here, and then cut. That's a different shot. Okay, just kind of like start right around here where you see everything being drawn in, where the plans are being mapped, and then cut to like down here where you see everything carved out. So this shot is going to be a little bit trickier for me to cut and select the exact points of the edit, but we're going to kind of look at where are those best points. So I really like this here. I think that the mouse movement there is nice and quick. And that's a good stopping point, I think, right around there. So we're going to add an edit, and we're going to move forward some. And these add-ons are okay, but they don't really show a whole lot. But that little bit there where those little parts are being added, I think there's a lot of activity there. So I'm going to start here, cut that closer, and I like when the mouse comes out and reveals that the mouse generates light whenever it's outside. So we're going to come over to that. I like that moment. I start right here, and we're going to cut back to this, and we're going to go and see how these little parts all come together. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, and then you see the lights come on in the daytime. This is a game that does have day and night cycles, and so we definitely want to show that. I'm just thinking about how's the best way to do that. And now I have the speed of the characters set up really high in this footage. Actually, no, I don't. I thought I did. But there's a point here. Yeah, here's where I turn up the speed on the player characters. So they start moving really, really, really quickly and just zipping around. So we don't want to linger too much in the slow building parts, but we do want to capture when they start really building quickly. Yeah, let's start right here. There's a change in speed, so we want the speed to be consistent with the edit, and you can start seeing where they're carving things out and shaping their new kingdom, their new castle, if you want to call it that. Yeah. So hopefully the name will start to make sense. Yeah, I really like when they start revealing the dark shaded stones up there. Okay, now we're gonna go. My posture is pretty terrible, which is something you'll probably find a lot. Okay, we're gonna move in here. Now this is a nice sequence. I might, you know what? I might kind of just take this whole slab here. Now this is a lot of passing time. I'm not going to be able to show all of this. However, this whole sequence here, we can do a nice little speed improvement. So we're just going to say, let's just make this, I don't know, 500%. Now that's going to be way too fast. However, let's see what it looks like in motion. My computer has to think about it for a second, but you can see them kind of building things out. And building goes really quickly. It doesn't quite look nice yet, but you can kind of see how it goes. So as I scrub through the timeline, yeah, so right around here is where we have the revealed overall structure. So I'm going to start right around here, go to around here, and say that's going to be around where we have our cuts. I like the length of that section, so we might save that for when we just kind of like, if I decide to show a time lapse. I'm probably not going to. I'm probably going to start with something like the map of the plan being shown, and then we kind of cut to the revealed dugout caverns, like nice little crossfade to show the passage of time. So that's those are the two major sections for section 2. I thought I had more in there, but maybe not. So that was build pan, build map fixed, build cave map fixed. I believe that those are all the sections. Too close pan. I don't think I got that into this timeline. Stock far pan. Not 100% sure that I got these in here, so I'm just going to bring them in. Take a quick look. Yeah, these aren't the ones that these I should have had in here. They're not quite in there yet. So these will show a little bit more variety of what the world looks like. Cave map fixed. Yeah, that's where that one ended. So these long sight pan didn't make it in there. And let's see. To stock far pan, long sight pan. Okay, cool. So this is going to be another nice close-up shot of the people moving. And this I like because of how everyone feels like they're moving across it. Now, I'm not sure if my footage is jamming. Looks like my footage isn't jamming. It's just, now I capture the footage in really, really high fashion. Now these files individually are like a gig each, because I like having uncompressed video footage because of there's no compression. And you can use H.264 MP4s. That's a QuickTime format that has some really, really nice effects, and you usually can't quite tell if there's any difference. But in my heart, I know that there's a little bit of a difference. And sometimes when you start working with really, really light lights or really dark darks, you can start to really notice that compression. And we don't want any of that in the footage. Not until we start rendering things out. And then we can tinker with it a little bit. But I like having control and keeping everything in maximum fidelity. So the output and the speed of the overall footage usually is a little bit messy up until that point, up until I get into the rough edit, and then I start making sure everything's rendered out and plays full speed. But this right here, we're going to start right around here because we want to show that these many dwarves are making a nice stockpile, and they're leading to this will be like a sawmill, lumberyard, crafting area. And you can see here's me starting another pan and forgetting that I had the table making option on, so I had to hide that and start the pan over, and there I turn on the menu. And that's one other thing that's really important. When you start recording a trailer, it's usually a best idea to turn off your UI to make sure that none of the UI elements are showing unless it's completely perfectly relevant, because it's distracting from where you want the viewer's eyes to go. And you really want to have good control of the viewer's eyes. All right, there's the pan starting, and so we're going to cut that and start right there. Now this is a nice smooth pan at a good medium distance to create a good sense of like, okay, these people are actually collecting something, they're doing something. Ooh, the lights turn on, that's a great moment. And there's the night to day passage of time. That's a really great shot. We're definitely highlighting. I'm going to put that on my second layer, the second layer of priority, so you know it's really important. All right, so we're going to slide through here to the next shot, and here they are kind of carving out a nice little stone quarry, and the panning starts to begin. Let's take a look at this shot. And I start cutting across here. My frame rate is really bad, and that's on my end. That's not on the stream, so I'm cutting to panning to the left, and that's not super interesting to me, but panning to the right. See here, yeah, creating a stockpile might be one of the more visually compelling activities, just because you can see exactly what they're doing and the movement of the characters from one place to another. They're obeying your commands as Grand Master of the Sky, and putting everything together. And I love that moving over of all those who are bringing the lumber mill. So that shot's really great because I haven't quite introduced the lumber mill quality yet, so there they are coming on in. I like that, so we're going to put that higher level priority in my timeline. Pan starts to the left, I don't want that, but hopefully I start one more time. Let's see how this looks. Ooh, this shot's really good, even though it's panning the wrong way. You know what? I'm gonna highlight it. It's good. If something's good and it breaks your plans, you just work with it, you know? And sometimes I might have the most perfect plan in the world, and you know, what's the saying? Plans don't, your game design doesn't survive the first encounter with a player. So the plan doesn't survive the first encounter with a viewer. And here we go. We're going to look at the long sight pan. This is one more. Nice. Oh, here's the, oh, that's a great moment. You see the dwarves over here are grabbing some nice ore infested isn't the right word. Littered or laden. Stone with ore in it. We'll just say that's that. And you see them pulling that stone and bringing that over to the stockpile, and look, they look like an economy. Aww. And that's exactly what we're going for. This is a game about economy. So right around there is where we're going to stop. And yeah, the shot keeps going to reveal a lot more of what we have of the settlement, and that's just not that interesting. Just because there's not really much going on the screen right there. I'm going to look at how this goes. Oh, I like this diagonal pan action. Actually, it looks good. So I think I start this over. I'm like, actually, yeah, that looks pretty good. So we'll start here. Here's where that starts. And you start seeing more of the people. You see a bunch of the trees. And you see them folks pulling some of the stones. And it starts a little bit low, but I don't know. It looks pretty decent. So I'm gonna say this previous shot was really good, because I think that this moment, yeah, it's this one's gonna work. This one's definitely going in the first draft here. All right, so cool. So we have. I usually delineate when I start making a cut timeline, a cut sequence. I use little gaps in that sequence to delineate my different shots. I often start labeling the different sequences, labeling the different shots. So with this, I don't know, I might make these all lavender. These I might make, I don't know, I might make them, I'm sorry, violet was what I made that previous one. These I might make forest. These, if they're really, really important, I might give them a nice loud color like rose. And these I might make, just to show that they're a different color, make them mango. I'm probably not going to use those label colors. We'll see how that goes. Now, this is a good point for me to make sure I'm saving my project. Always save your projects. And you'll see that I have the first sequence of shots, the second sequence of shots, the fourth, and the sixth. Now, the third section, I'm going to jump right back over to my timeline here. And you'll note that this is my first section, second section, and then right around, somewhere around here, is when I start jumping over into this third sequence, which is what starts right here. And now this is just a bunch of slides. They're just text, images right now that I have sliding around with some simple transitions to show intent, show the direction of how they're gonna flow. And we have a nice transition from one to the next. Now I'm going to pre-compose all of that in After Effects. I think I'm just going to leave that the way that it is right now. We're coming up on about 45 minutes of the stream right now. And I think that's probably going to be a good stopping point to take a break. I'm going to field some questions really quick, see if there's any other questions in the feed. And then I'm going to pause and I'm going to come back to finishing some more of the base cuts. We're going to have 2 more general sequences to do the cuts. And then we're going to jump into the actual draft edit. Cool. So let's see here. Jumping into my dashboard. Oh no. So it looks like Steve jumped from his phone to PC and was having the same frame rate problem. So it looks like the frame rate problem was something that pretty much everybody was experiencing, which is really disappointing to me, and might be a problem of my overall internet. So I kind of knew that I was going to have some trouble coming into things, and so I apologize that this might not have been the most enjoyable to watch stream. But I definitely do hope that this will become a lot more watchable. And I'll post a message in the chat for once the recording of this that I just started goes up. I'm gonna let the stream catch up a little bit. I know it's I believe on a 20-second delay, and I know there's streaming tools to get around that to make it go faster. But I don't know that that's gonna work if I'm experiencing a bitrate issue. My upload is not the fastest in the world. I am getting about 400 kilobytes a second. So that's probably the problem. Cool. So I'm gonna let that set a little bit. I'm gonna jump back into the edit just for a little bit here, and let the questions kind of come through if anybody has anything that they'd like to add, any concerns, any critiques, anything along those lines. Now again, I do know that my work habits are not the best, but hopefully I'm going for Bob Ross here. I just want to have a chill vibe and make sure that you just kind of enjoy listening to the sound of my voice as I do very, very simple things. So we're going to cut over here, and I have all these section 4 sequence elements. I'm just going to bring those over into a nice little cut here. And we're going to call this 4 night cuts. And I'm going to rename that 2 cut sequence. Actually, call that 2 day cuts, and give that a nice little plus as a notification that that one's ready for pulling the cuts into edits. Then we're going to look at here we go, not cuts nighttime. We're going to put that over here, and we're going to call that night cuts. And you know what? We're just going to start and bring the sixth sequence and make a nice little cut sequence for that one. 6. We'll call that climax. Might be climax works. We'll just call that the climax section, and we'll call that climax cuts. Okay, put that over here. Start 4 nighttime, and I'm gonna just look at some of this, review some of the footage. We got some nice rightward panning. And you'll see, and this is what I really like. I really love the lighting effects in there. Now that does give player voice. I don't know how that's going to read exactly in the trailer. I've never quite made a trailer for this kind of simulation game, so I have ideas on what I think is going to work. And surprisingly, I think this genre is one of the maybe one of the easier ones to make game trailers for.